You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box, where you get the inside scoop on the steps action takers and decision makers take to align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests who have overcome challenges and obstacles to succeed in the face of adversity. By listening to their stories, you'll get practical tips, tools, and resources you can implement today to bust through your own internalized prisons of worry and doubt. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Hey there, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners. Thank you so much for downloading this episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast. And as you know, this is a podcast all about shedding limiting labels and beliefs so we can lead fulfilling, meaningful, and purposeful lives. I'm Sarah Box, your host. I'm pleased to be here today and also to tell you about our guest today, Jana Jopko. Now, I met Jana in a different environment entirely. And what stood out to me about her was her energy, kind of her vivaciousness. And I was kind of curious, here's this gal who's kind of gadding about, moving from place to place. I wanted to know what was her story. So I learned a little bit more about her. And I thought she's a perfect guest to bring to the No Labels, No Limits podcast for a number of reasons. So before I have Jana join us, let me tell you a little bit about her. She describes herself as a healing junkie who gets thrilled with seeing people's transformed lives. And what she does is she empowers burnt out professionals whose health is failing to reclaim their energy and vitality. And she does this through a couple of different pathways, if you will. But she utilizes simple and proven holistic, natural, and faith-based modalities. So wherever you are on the spectrum of learning and growing, Jana has an entry point for you that can serve you well. She's been practicing this way for 16 years, now going more than that. She's always felt so bad for those of us who are productive, working adults whose lives have been affected by unreached potential dreams and goals due to exhaustion, burnout, and eventually, if we don't deal with it, disease. And I have to tell you, Jana, 5 or 6 years ago, that was me. That was totally like where I was at. I hadn't gotten a disease, but I could feel like, oh man, you are on the cusp, girl. You've got to do something or you're going to start feeling it bad. So I'm glad to have you on the show because I know that for you, unnecessary suffering like this should be addressed. And you have personal experience of stage 5 burnout, which you can tell us what that is when your body started to shut down and develop diabetes. And that was when things started looking the most grim, health, work, relationships went downhill. That's when you kind of stepped up and transformed. So audience, this is what Jana vows to do now to help everyone get through, if not avoid, these unnecessary sufferings.
Hi, Sarah. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here, Jana. I'm really just
so excited to talk about this subject.
I know it's a topic of super big interest to me. Super big. That's very professional, but it's one of those things when someone is talking about holistic and blending aspects of like just living more fully, but living who you personally are, not trying to be someone you're not, but living to your best potential. I always love learning about that because I know it will help other people and I benefit also. So this is my selfish pleasures getting to learn from my guests. And I've been looking forward to this conversation with you. But
excellent, me too.
Well, as you know, from listening to this show, I ask the same question of all guests. So is there a routine or a practice that you do every day that keeps you focused down the path you want to be on towards your own goals and vision?
Absolutely. So because I serve people in what I do, the number one goal for me is to get refueled and refilled. because how can you help someone when you're running on empty? So for me, actually, before I even do that, I have to start with a tall glass of water every morning because we wake up parched, and I actually drink it with charcoal.
Okay, wait.
I
There's
know.
nothing, either I'm seeing a fish tank in my mind. I'm just not getting the connection with charcoal. So
It's
please share.
detox. We
Okay.
need to detox. I believe in daily detox because we live in toxic environments, whether it's our mind or it's our environment, really in our homes, or being outside in the car, or whatever it may be, your office. So for me, it's either apple cider vinegar or charcoal, but mostly charcoal, just to kind of detox and flush everything out. Then I start with meditation, gratitude, prayer to kind of fill in. And that, actually, believe it or not, can be an hour because I really need it in order to help people, right? Then I do my workout. And because I actually do what I preach.
Isn't that nice?
So I do my workout, then I sit down with my husband for brunch. He is the amazing chef in this household, so I love that. And we have a bit of a business discussion over brunch. Then my work starts, and I do coaching, planning, social media, all of that. And then dinner, and hopefully a beach walk at the end of it. A
Nice.
little bit of grounding.
Well, there you go, being on the earth with your feet.
Exactly. You got it.
So I just got to pick a little bit more at the charcoal. What kind of charcoal are you talking about? Because I'm thinking charcoal briquettes, which I'm going, those are really.
Oh, no. No, so it's called activated charcoal. And I would tell your listeners to start slow and increase, because it's also going to allow you to have better bowel movement. So if you're not ready, if you have an hour-long drive to work, you might want to do it at work.
I got
Not that you're going to have a, full explosion, but it's going to help you eliminate. Let's put it that way.
Well, and as part of health, that's important.
Of course.
So.
And people think once every week is enough, or once a day. Wow. Yes, we do talk about that too, mood, poop, we talk about it all.
Well, that's part of your health. So let's go back to your own journey. You mentioned that you've experienced burnout stage 5. Can you talk to us about what that is and what your experience was? Because it sounds like that was pivotal to the decisions you made and the changes you made in your own life.
It was, Sarah, and I'm just debating whether I should start even prior to that. Would you be okay if I start my journey prior to that a little bit?
I say just tell us the journey that's going to help us understand, and yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I feel like my whole life has prepared me for this point, and I call this point convergence, where everything kind of came together for me to be able to do what I do and how I help people. So I've suffered much loss, and I'll just quickly go through this. But early on in my life, I was 2 years old when my father left our country of Czechoslovakia at the time for a better life. So leaving communism for a better life in Canada, which means for a 2-year-old child, that was a loss. Well, at 4, I saw police officers come to our home and take my mom, leaving me an orphan. So another loss. Luckily, I was legally adopted by very loving grandparents that were very much part of my life. So it didn't feel like that was a huge change. Thank God for that. But funny thing I like to tell people is that my father is actually my brother. Did you get that one?
Yes.
Because I was adopted by my grandparents. He became my brother. So yes, okay. So that was
One of
just a
those
little
brain
tidbit.
twisters.
Yes, exactly. And at age of 14, my grandfather smuggled me out of the country to live with my father in Canada, whom I did not know because I was a child when he left. But they forgot to tell me that this was not just a 2-month summer holiday like I planned. They forgot to tell me that I was staying in the country, really, whether I liked it or not, because it's better for my future. So as a teenager, there was another loss of everything that I knew, including language, culture, family, friends, more grief, and that became time for suicide attempts. And as a teenager, my life was turned upside down. By the grace of God, I made it out alive and stronger on the other side. But honestly, God is the one that got me out of my suicidal mode at the age of 16. So that was only up to the age of 16. In my adulthood, health challenges plagued me with really bad environmental allergies. And that was kind of one of the other giants that came into my life, if I can call it that way. I was newly married, got severe allergies to a point. They were so severe, I had to quit my career that I've studied for, go back to school and start a whole new career. So during my studies, I tore my shoulder out. I tore it out. Excruciating pain for 5 years followed. Then as a type 8 personality being in a whole new career, guess what happened? I totally burned out. So now, this is where Wellness Path Academy comes in. I have some experience with all of this.
Well, go ahead, continue.
I was going to say, so I had to do something about what I was experiencing. And I obviously tried what everybody does, run to the doctor, x-rays, all of that, allergy shots, but none of those things worked for me. So I dove into the natural things, kind of started to experiment. And I did so much research that it led me to realize that only 5% of disease is genetically, only 5% of disease is genetically related. So 95%, it's our lifestyle choices. Mind blown. To realize that, that my burnout was because of my lifestyle choices was slightly hard. But the good thing was, if I got myself out of that mess, I could certainly get myself out of the mess if I sought some help and if I could figure out where to go. So years of research have kind of led me to that. And I found out that the body wants to heal. It has the innate ability to heal if, that's the part, if properly supported. So we can pursue healing through natural modalities. And also, since we're not just natural beings, physical beings, we're also spiritual beings, through spiritual modalities as well. So for me, that's faith in God as well. So that was the short answer to your question.
Well, just because my mind you left an open loop for me, and I have no idea psychologically what this means, nor do I want to know, but I like to close some loops. So did you see your grandparents again after they sent you for the summer holiday?
They came, my grandfather came for my high school graduation. That was 4 years later. And I actually, for the first time, traveled back to Czechoslovakia after 9 years of separation from my mom, my grandparents, all of the family that I knew, all of the friends and all of those relationships. 9 years, and it was still communist then.
And did you, had you gone through some of your healing prior to that visit?
Yes. So if you remember, my story of suicide started at 14 when my life changed by coming into Canada from Czechoslovakia. So at the age of 16, 2 years of really a huge giant in my life, which was the suicide, that I felt I could not breathe. And physically, Sarah, I actually could not breathe. It felt like a deep, dark hole. And the light that was there, sometimes I felt it was just a big train at the end of the tunnel. But thank God at the age of 16, I would honestly say that it was God that delivered me from suicide, because in one blink of an eye, I was absolutely free from hopelessness to hope. And I can't explain it any other way than a miracle.
So I'm guessing when you went home, you saw Czechoslovakia through a slightly different lens then as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, then it was still communist, which made it quite difficult for me to go back in. But yes, they saw a very, well, they known a happy Jana, but they saw a Jana from a slightly different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to close a little loop for me. Thank you for
Yeah, no
indulging
problem.
me. Thank you. All right. So tell us, or tell me, about the Wellness Path. What is the Wellness Path Academy?
So people come into my world in two ways. They come in through the energy path, where we deal more on the health side. We do deal with a mental side as well, but we deal more of the health side. And the other path is the conquering giants, where those giants of, like I mentioned, suicide or shame, bitterness, anger. So they come in through different ways. And what I've actually done, Sarah, is I've created a, what do I call it? An energy path. Nope, I call it wellness success path. And so I've actually designed a path for my clients to transition them through. One thing I do want to say, that no matter where people are when they come into my world, I want them to know that there is hope. No matter where you're coming from. If you take anything out of this, if you come into Jana's world, you are going to know that there is hope, because whether we are talking about a physical healing or a mental healing, there's going to be a transformation. And there's going to be so many stories. You just heard tidbits of mine, but my clients have amazing stories as well. So if you're okay with it, I can take you through the stages of the success path.
I would love to hear that. And I would also like, if you're able to share, like after we go through the stages, Jana, give some examples of how, some of the transformations or shifts that your clients have experienced, because people may relate very personally to what you have shared, but there may be something someone else has gone through that's different, that they could go, that's kind of me.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've had people that have just lost their energy and a little bit of their hope, but I've had people that couldn't make it out of bed. So they come
spectrum.
from, yeah, all spectrum. Yeah, exactly. So,
okay. Well, let's go through your wellness success path.
Okay.
You got me curious.
Excellent. And this is really their transformation. This is their journey when they come into Jana's world, if we can call it that. So stage one, stage zero, even before we get into one, they really have to recognize that they need help. If you don't know you need help, I can't help you because you don't know you need it. So I want to reclaim my energy and health using natural and faith-based modality, is what they are saying to themselves. Maybe they have tried already. A lot of them are on various medications when they come see me, antidepressants, or they're already even on diabetes. And I've healed my own pre-diabetes when my body started to shut down. And they need to commit to the journey. So that's kind of the zero stage. So we do a self-assessment. We start a wellness journal. We start to track our foods, our moods, and yes, our poops too. I know, but hey, it's part of life. So they come in exhausted, burnt out, defeated, with strained relationships. People don't understand, and I didn't understand how our burnout affects our relationships. They're overwhelmed, they're in pain, they may be suffering with headaches, migraines. One of my clients had acne all over her body, and she was an adult in her 30s. They have brain fog, poor memory, poor concentration, hormonal problems, mood swings, emotional issues, unexplained weight gain, prediabetes, diabetes, poor work performance, because most of the time I deal with working professionals. This is really important. So that's kind of where my clients come in. And I try to educate them on the 3 causes of disease. So we're dealing with inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, and toxicity. So I'm looping it back to that detox drink in the morning that I drink, my charcoal.
I'm going to keep talking about that after the podcast too.
Love it. All right. So then stage 1, the health reset. They are thinking to them, okay, I'm ready to take charge of my own healing journey. That's kind of what I talk about, but they don't know where to start. So we start with the energy diet. We start adding in anti-inflammatory foods to nourish the body and the brain, because there's a connection here with your gut to your brain. We need to bring the inflammation down so we can think clearer.
What are a couple of the foods that you have people start introducing?
Actually, good question, Sarah. One of the most powerful things in nourishing the body and bringing the inflammation down is just something really simple, is a healthy green smoothie. And that's 80% vegetables, 20% fruit. Okay, so a little bit less on the sugar. And something like berries are amazing with spinach and even a banana if you need a little bit of sweetness, and mix that up in coconut water or something like that. Amazing. If you drink that every day, you will notice a difference. And we actually do that through my 10-day challenge as well. So
we'll come back to the 10-day challenge.
Yes, definitely.
I won't let you forget.
Okay. So stage 2, gut repair. So people need to clean up their diet. They may be struggling with gut issues and staying consistent. So we kind of work on that. We, at this point, start removing some of the triggers, and so that we're able to put the body into a healing mode and start decreasing a lot of the symptoms due to inflammation or toxicity. So these symptoms could be inflammation in joints. A lot of times people have joint problems, so they're in pain. They have a lot of headaches, migraines, because there's just too much toxicity, or they've got a completely open gut, so food is coming into their body, creating pain that way. So we take out some of those triggers. And everybody's slightly different, but there are definitely certain triggers like gluten, milk. It could be different foods. One of my clients I think she had like a list of 10 things that she could eat. That was it. So her diet, the foods that she could eat, was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. She was getting more malnourished and not seeing any results what she was doing on her own. So that was interesting one to watch. Stage 3, we go into mind renew. So now they're starting to feel better, but they're trying to conquer some giants in their lives. And that could be the I am not worthy. I don't deserve to be well. Well, if you think that way, your body cannot heal because you're thinking, I don't actually deserve it. So you sabotage yourself. Right? And I actually want to tell you, there was an interesting study done. It was on why the researchers were looking, why do people are not able to change their health habits? And any guesses on what they found?
Well, there'd be a couple of things. I could think of things like creating unnecessary barriers in the path, but also having to change what you're doing and fear of not maybe disrupting a family or a social group that you're in by your own needs and wants above others. I don't know.
Right.
You got me.
Right. Or the foods, right?
Right.
You think, oh, it's the bucket of ice cream or it's the chip and Coke. But they were shocked to find out that the number one reason that people do not make the transition into, or cannot make the transition into, a healthy lifestyle is because they don't feel worthy of it. And so from day one, when they come into Jana's world, and this happens in the challenge as well, I want to practice something with you and your audience. So I want you to take your right hand and put it on your heart. I want you to take a deep breath and repeat after me. Okay?
I'm with you.
I deserve this healing journey.
I deserve this healing journey.
I deserve to be well.
I deserve to be well.
And I deserve to be whole.
And I deserve to be whole.
How did that feel?
It feels righteous. It feels good.
Right. I've had students that actually cry just because of that, because they had a shift in their mind that they deserve this healing. They deserve to be whole. They deserve to be well. So, it's just one of those giants that we can conquer from the get-go. And they realize that self-care is important.
It's important. And the more you do it, the more positive reinforcement you get, right? It's from those little things where all of a sudden you're feeling better and you're thinking, I'm doing that again,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's just stage 3 in my journey of 5. The next stage is revitalize or optimize. And this is where you're starting to feel better. You're kind of in a wellness rhythm. And now we're going to be troubleshooting other areas of your life. And so that could be sleep, movement, supplements, house detox. So this is not just the foods we eat. This is so much more, because we can give you healthy food and teach you all about that. But if you live in a moldy house, how is that going to help you?
Well,
right?
It might help you stay healthier, but it's not going to be the health journey you're after.
Right, exactly. So on this healing journey, we talk about all of that, how to improve your sleep, how to introduce more movement. And that does not mean an exercise to an expensive gym, which I don't know if people can get into their gyms nowadays, but that's not what I talk about at all. It's just having more movement to be able to do what we do every day and not get restricted as we age.
Or as I like to say, I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, without having to okay, better ibuprofen up. But I know, but I mean, it's like, I don't want to be in that space where I'm going to anticipate pain. And so I'm going to take meds, right? I'd rather just feel good, be healthy, and be mobile.
Absolutely.
So that's my.
Exactly. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And Sarah, in my age, and the listeners can't see me, I am able to do, and I'm debating, should I say my age or not?
Say what you want, girl. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm able to travel globally and live a nomad lifestyle and do whatever I need to do to love my life and to thrive and not be limited by disease, or because I can't carry a backpack at my age, though I thought I might be the oldest backpacker in the world.
That would be kind of a cool thing.
But then I saw somebody with gray hair and I thought, no, there's somebody that looks older. So the point is really to thrive. The point of going through my energy path is to take people from surviving to thriving. And some of the celebrations that people can expect in their healing journeys is, some of the results is more energy, no more headaches or migraines, less pain, less gut issues, more mood stability, which is really good for your relationship. So you might have better relationships. Weight loss. How about mind focus and clarity? Stabilized blood sugars. That was a big one for me. Clarity on foods to eat and not to eat, because now you relate the food to actually what you're feeling and to your poop, if we can go there again. And you have a better work performance and renewed hope for your future and for your goals and dreams, because those are some of the things that people lose when they're so overwhelmed and in the beginning stages.
No, it's true. And that having to fight a chronic condition, and I know from friends and family that it is fatiguing and it's
Yes.
demoralizing. You know, you make
Yes.
progress and then it feels like you go backwards. And so it's not a joke.
Exactly. And it affects so much.
It does affect much. And I think once your hope gets challenged, it's good. I mean, it's tough. And that's one of the things for me. Faith and hope are the two things when things are tough that I can ground down and get grounded in. So when hope goes away, you know, I just think about you're standing on this really rocky patch without much netting under you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, you mentioned the piece of unnecessary suffering. When I realized that, that was mind blowing again, because we don't realize how our behaviors and what we do every day affects us and puts us into harm's way. And so when we have this realization, when somebody takes us down this healing path and we have these realizations, your whole life changes. And I just think of Georgina, one of my clients, who was absolutely exhausted, depressed, whole bunch of health issues, on a whole bunch of medications. She could no longer go to her business and run her business because she would be hiding under the cover. She did not want to leave her house. She was incapacitated. Somebody that is very vibrant and alive to not wanting to get out of bed. And she tried so many things on her own until she finally surrendered and realized she needed help. And I mean, for some of us, it takes a while and it's okay. But she decided to take the risk and try something new. And we did the one-on-one coaching. And she said to me after 4 weeks, Jana, this may have saved my life. Because she's the one that I mentioned that her food groups have diminished down to 10. Now she suffered from asthma. She couldn't go outside. She suffered from depression. Well, if you can't get out of bed, that's depressing enough, right? There were so many things. She couldn't run her family, her business, nothing. And after we were done, she is running the company. I mean, 110% running the company. She is so vibrant and alive without a lot of the medications. Not that I would take them off of the medications, but she worked with her doctors, because if there's no asthma, you don't need medications for asthma. She's able to exercise, go outside and walk, life transformed. And that's just one. I had a 70-year-old client stop binge eating. She had candy, 70 hidden candies in her closet that she stopped. She threw them out because she no longer needed that emotional high from the candies, from the sugar. At 70, if she can do that at 70, any career person can do that, because they can focus and they're much younger. It's easier to train, right?
That's one theory.
Yes.
I do think where you are, not necessarily by age, but by stage,
Yes,
influences your motivation a lot, or can be an influence on
very good point.
motivation.
Yeah.
So, and that's so great to hear the transformation that folks have been able to achieve. through working with you, Jana. So I always say this is my last question, but it might not be, just so you know. So how do people work with you, or how can they learn more about you? Where will you be in your location independent living?
So isn't it wonderful that we can do business online and I can speak to my clients just as I'm speaking to you and make it feel as personal as it is right now? So yes, we do this online, and I have, they can join my world in different ways. I start with a 10-day challenge. It's called Recharge Challenge, and we do mind work from get-go, but we also obviously deal with hope, but we also deal with foods and what you bring into your body and into your environment. So in 10 days, believe it or not, you can totally shift a mindset and you can shift your body into a healing mode. So if that's what you can accomplish in 10 days, what can you accomplish in 9 weeks? So my course is, the energy path is 9 weeks. So that would be the challenge first, the energy path, and a membership afterwards. But people can, if they can't afford the one-on-one, there is groups as well. So I'd love to work with church groups or work groups and get them into the energy path. But Sarah, that is one way they can come in. Remember Conquering Giants?
Remember talk those about giants? That. Yeah. Let's bring that home as we wrap up the show. Talk about Conquering Giants.
Awesome. So I feel so qualified because I've had so many of them in my life. And these giants, I've mentioned suicide and loss and grief, and disease can be one of them as well. But fear, guilt, hopelessness, addictions, all of these things can be such giants. And we come into Jana's world. I'll bring hope that you don't have to live these giants forever. I can help you to conquer these giants. I can walk you through a path. So Sarah, this is something new that I am working on. I would love your audience to, if they relate to this, to sign up on my website at Wellness Path Academy. There will be a link for Conquering Giants or Energy Path. So they can join my world that way, or sign up for my 10-day challenge, Recharge Challenge.
So 3 different options, 3 different ways to connect with you. All roads lead to Jana, wellness and health transformation.
Amen. You know what I call it? I call it 99% health coach and 51 giant slayer. How's that?
I like it. Very creative of you, and it has a lot of imagery for me. So
excellent.
Yeah. So I want to thank you though, Jana, for taking your time, being on the show. Jana tell folks where you are today in the world.
Well, today I am in Playa del Carmen, about 5-minute walk from one of the loveliest beaches. And that's today. Before that, we were in Europe, and before that, we were in Thailand for 10 months. So it's such a joy to be able to do what your heart desires and be free to do it. And that's really my hope for everyone that I touch.
Well, on that note, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners, we'll wrap this show. I want to thank you for joining us. And if you found value in what Jana shared, I hope that you will hop online wherever you're listening to this, give us a rating and review. But even more than that, share this episode with someone else who you know would benefit from Jana's story, from her journey, from her challenge. Because the more of us who live with no labels and no limits, the better off the entire world is. So until our next episode, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic vision coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. So please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Until next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.